Chapter 3. Making a List, Checking It Twice. That same afternoon, their teacher, Mrs. Jeepers, stood at the front of the room and waited for the third graders' attention. Everybody sat up straight and listened. Mrs. Jeepers had a way of getting their attention by flashing her green eyes and rubbing the mysterious brooch at her throat. Some of the third graders even thought she was a vampire. "We have a very special guest who would like to discuss something important with you," Mrs. Jeepers said in her strange accent. Eddie waved his hand high in the air and waited for Mrs. Jeepers to call on him. "Are we in trouble?" he asked. Mrs. Jeepers smiled an odd little half smile and shook her head. "Quite the opposite. Mr. Hollis Bell would like to hear your ideas for the new playground." Then Mrs. Jeepers opened the classroom door. Hollis Bell took off his green hard hat and bowed to Mrs. Jeepers. Hollis Bell made Mrs. Jeepers look like a giant. He only came up to the belt on her polka-dotted dress. When he walked into the room, the tools on his belt clanged together. "Good afternoon, Bailey third graders," he said. "The other helpers and I need your suggestions. What would you like for your playground?" "You mean we get to plan it?" Howie asked. Hollis Bell laughed. "What a better way to plan the perfect place for such good boys and girls. Remember, magic happens when we work together." Liza raised her hand. "I'd like a brand new set of swings." "I want picnic tables," a fat boy named Huey called out. "What about slides?" asked Melody. "And a tree house," Eddie hollered. Carrie waved her hand in the air. "Oh, that's too expensive," she said in a squeaky voice. "My dad had it all planned out, what we should do. He should know, because he's the president of Bailey City Bank." "Your dad can't do that," Huey yelled. "My mother said so, and she's the PTA president, so there." My, Hollis Bell interrupted. "People seem to have many different ideas about this playground, so the other helpers and I want you to make a list. Write it carefully and check it twice, then we can get started on building the perfect playground." "Are you going to use all our ideas?" Howie asked. "He can't," Carrie told the class. Hollis Bell acted like he didn't hear her. "It is our job to make wishes come true. Put down your ideas and we'll see what we can do." "But what if someone puts down a bad idea?" Liza asked. "I'll know if it is good or bad, so make it good for goodness sake." And then Hollis Bell skipped out of the room with his tool belt jingling. "Who ever heard of kids making a wish list?" Eddie laughed. "I have," Liza said seriously. "I make a list every Christmas." "That's different," Howie told her. "Lots of kids make a list for Santa Claus, but Hollis Bell is no Santa Claus. He's too short." Melody giggled. "He's more the size of an elf." Eddie's eyes got big, and he snapped his fingers. "That's it! I just figured out what's so strange about Hollis Bell.